Food Day team as a project coordinator here at Center for Science in the Public Interest. And I want to welcome you to our monthly call for organizers. Today we're going to hear from Dr. Michael Jacobson, who is the Executive Director of the Center for Science in the Public Interest. And we'll also be hearing from some of our organizers around the country, letting us know about some of the great events that they're planning. And then we'll give some brief state updates to inspire you and get you excited about things happening in other parts of the country. So I'll start it out with Dr. Michael Jacobson, and I'll go to his slides in just a moment. Wanted to give everyone a brief update on this webinar platform. So you may notice that you have a dashboard screen. You're able to press the raise hand button if you'd like to be unmuted at any point, or you can also type in a question and we will get to you during the Q&A session. We'll open it up for questions after Dr. Jacobson's presentation, and then towards the end of the call as well, if you'd like to talk more about the logistics of organizing your event or have updates to share from your area. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Michael Jacobson to give us a little pep talk about Food Day.
Thank you very much, Catherine, and a word of compliment to you, Haley, and Avi and the interns who've been doing such a great job, not to mention Lily Smelkova, who's overseeing all of Food Day. So what are we, about 8 weeks away from Food Day, and it's very exciting to see things take shape after many months of hard work on this. I'm sure everybody on the call is busy and is aware of what Food Day is all about, but I just wanted to give a reminder of how I've seen Food Day. What I'd love to happen is for Food Day to become another Earth Day, where much of America kind of stands back and thinks about what is the impact of their activities, government policies, corporate activities on the earth, and for Food Day, on our environment, the food system, and our health, and other aspects of the food system. And it's a very inclusive kind of activity that, in some cases, I think it'll, we'd love to have everybody eating really healthy food all the time that's produced in a humane, sustainable way, where workers are treated fairly, the earth is revitalized rather than degraded. But all of America is not going to make that jump on October 24th. And I see October 24th as an opportunity to form coalitions, collaborations, get the word out to the public, and move the public just to a healthier direction. So if people are chomping down on double Whoppers with cheese, maybe we could get them to switch to grilled chicken sandwich at a fast food restaurant, or maybe have some water instead of a big soda. Kind of marginal improvements. And then at the other end of things, maybe we can get some of the fancy restaurants that serve sustainably grown organic foods, get them to have healthier recipes. So get people who are eating basically a really good diet to have just a super diet that has even better repercussions on the whole food system. If everything was hunky-dory in this country, we wouldn't have a Food Day. But it's not. And let me just go through a few of the sectors where there are some real problems. The one CSPI works on mostly is diet-related health problems. So here we have a country where 2/3 of American adults and 1/3 of children are pre-obese, which is another term for overweight, or obese. The medical costs, just the medical costs for obesity-related diseases total around $150 billion a year. Just an unbelievably large load on our healthcare system. And between poor diet and lack of physical activity, 300,000 people in America die prematurely each year from heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and other health problems. And kind of focusing in a little on some of the particular substances we consume, we're vastly over-consuming added sugar, consuming 2 or 3 times as much as, not what I think, but what the U.S. Department of Agriculture recommends. High sodium diets, similarly. If we could cut sodium levels in our packaged and processed foods in half, that would save something over 100,000 lives a year due to lower rates of heart attacks and strokes. Much of that is from overeating, but next slide, please. We also have problems of hunger and food insecurity. 50 million Americans are missing meals, near hunger. Our country spends $75 billion a year now on food stamps, or SNAP. But when you break it down, per person, it's only about $4 a day per person, which is a pretty skimpy budget to use to have a decent meal on your plate 3 times a day, on your family's plates. And the conservatives in Congress are constantly sniping at SNAP and the WIC program to try to cut their funding. Their proposals, a draconian proposal in the House this year, and a much milder proposal in the Senate that would cut benefits. And many poor people who don't have cars or other transportation are stuck in food deserts where it's at least a mile to the nearest grocery store. And very often they have to rely on corner stores, greasy spoon carryouts, and other basically repositories of junk food. That's the consumer angle. But then the next slide discusses the environmental aspects of where we get our food and what the impact is on the earth. Next slide, please.
Sorry, it's taking a minute to load here. Should go.
Oh, okay. Well, the food doesn't just appear magically on our plates, but there's much of it ultimately comes from the good earth. And how it's produced is a real problem in many cases, where rampant use of pesticides harms wildlife and also farm workers. Much of agriculture, especially the Corn Belt, uses huge amounts of fertilizer. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to produce that fertilizer. And then, as I said, use a lot of fertilizer. So if you think of a pound of grain-fed beef, what does it take? It takes a third of a pound of fertilizer, 1,900 gallons of water, much of it for irrigation, and then also for feeding the cattle, and 7 pounds of grain when you're talking about grain-fed cattle. And when we use all these inputs, there's tremendous pollution, especially due to the overuse of fertilizer and pesticides, and then the animals in confined animal feeding operations, these huge hog operations and cattle feedlots and chicken houses collect huge amounts of manure, and that leads to air pollution from nitrogen and nitrogen gases, and just the stink from the methane and other substances, sulfurous substances, pollute the local environment. So the pollution is enormous. And as I've alluded to before, the farm workers are regularly exposed to chemical pesticides that cause very significant health harms to those workers. In the slaughterhouses and meat processing plants, the workers there are working in very dangerous conditions and have high rates of injuries. Getting closer to home, go out to eat at a restaurant, and most restaurant workers don't have any sick days, so they don't stay home. They go to work sick, and they're the ones who are cooking and preparing our food. And they need to go to work because many don't even get minimum wages at work, so they need to work very long and hard. And that's the humans. The animal aspect is that on the factory farms, these animals are treated cruelly, to be gentle. Layer hens crammed into little cages. Cattle herded together in filthy feedlots. Hogs, especially the females, the sows, are stuck in these little gestation crates for much of their lives. And thanks to some groups like the Humane Society, we're beginning to see some improvements, but it'll take many years to achieve. So those are the kinds of problems that Food Day is addressing, and you may have many others that you're dealing with in your local communities. And some of the things that are happening to address some of these problems, let me just mention a few of them on the next slide, if we can get that up. First, the U.S. Conference of Mayors was terrific, and they adopted a resolution declaring October 24th Food Day and encouraging all mayors to participate. So if anybody's looking for mayoral support, tell your local mayor that the Conference of Mayors declared October 24th Food Day, and you'd love to get their help to mobilize the city. Many universities are organizing activities. Stanford University is organizing its second Food Summit, a terrific conference, and there'll be some extra activities there also. At Western Kentucky University, there's a day-long Food Day celebration. In Baltimore, the Mayor's Food Policy Council is organizing a food and farm festival that'll focus especially on locally grown foods. The Arizona Department of Health and Human Services, like a number of other public agencies, is getting involved and through their Real Food Community Tour, highlighting locally produced food, hopefully more than cactus. And many school systems are getting involved, some for the first time, where they'll be using the Food Day curriculum, which is a great little curriculum to have a week's worth of activities, which is on our website. And also the food services are getting involved with special meals of interesting foods or locally grown foods or healthier foods, and making a great effort to get kids accustomed to eating healthier school meals. And you remember, it's a perfect year to get schools involved because they are required to provide more fruits and vegetables, more whole grains, less salt, no trans fat, and so on, because of the legislation that Congress passed. It goes into effect right now, and you should be holding school system accountable and also getting the school system involved in Food Day.
Could I make a comment? This is Linda Alexander. I just joined you from Cleveland, Ohio. I just want you to know that I'm on the call.
Thank you very much. Glad you're here. One of the events that we see as a national event is one we're organizing here in Washington, D.C. at the United States Capitol. We're having a conference on the future of food, 2050. What will our food system look like in 2050? Will we have farms, or will all the farms be nice, local, organic farms? And what will we be eating? Nutri-Pills, all the nutrients we need in a little capsule, or processed foods, or healthy organic foods, or what? So we're going to be looking into a crystal ball. Corby Kummer, the Atlantic.com food expert, is going to be one of the hosts at the event, and hopefully some of you will be able to attend. So that's kind of an overview. And, so it's fabulous to see so many people making progress at the local level. And two of the things that one of the things we're urging is that you take advantage of the election. It's going to be 2 weeks after Food Day. It's a perfect time to hold candidates forums, to get candidates for Congress, House of Representatives, or senators, or local candidates if you have local elections, and invite them to participate in events and talk to local people about food policies. What are they going to do to help deal with hunger? What are they going to do to help every American eat healthier food, protect workers, and get some debates perhaps if you could round up 2 or more candidates. And then finally, register your events on our website. Spread the word. Tweet. Send an email to everybody in your address book. You know all these ways. And help make Food Day bigger and better than last year, at which time we had over 2,000 events. So it was no slouch, but we're going to try to do a lot better this year. So thanks so much for all the work you're doing at the local level, because without people at the local level, Food Day would not be much more than one national conference and a little teeny bit of publicity. You guys make it happen, and thanks so much for your efforts. So I'll let you take it back, Catherine.
All right, thanks so much, Mike, and echoing that sentiment, thanks to everyone who's joined the call and who's working hard to organize Food Day events. So just to go back over the agenda for the rest of the call, we're going to hear next from Katie Plowacki, who's with the Tulsa Health Department, about the events they're planning. We'll hear from Diane Sproul in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And then we'll hear a little bit from Linda Alexander in Cleveland. And then we'll give some brief state updates and go through any questions you have. But first, I wanted to open it up to a few questions for Dr. Jacobson. If anyone has things they'd like to bring up at this time, he's going to be leaving the call. So please press the raise hand button, which is that little hand icon on your dashboard, or you can type in a question and I'll read it aloud. Try to identify yourself in the typed questions and say where you're from. Or if you have comments and like to comment on any of the presentation that he just made. So we can hold it open for about, a minute or so. We don't have any questions right now, but if you do have questions, please type them in or press that raise hand button to be unmuted, and we'll pass along your question. Oh, we have one from Patricia Nichols here. You're unmuted if you'd like to ask your question verbally.
Yes, it was just, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It was a question about the D.C. conference. When will it be?
It'll be 6 o'clock on October 24th, 6 p.m. So it's 6 to 8:30.
Thanks.
And we'll let everybody know once. We're going to send out a save the date notice in a day or so.
Okay. A couple people have asked questions. Can they see this webinar, the recording, and the slides, and learn about what other people are doing? And yes, we will post the recording and the slides on our updates page at foodday.org, which is also a place you can be checking for information about calls that are coming up. We also have a discussion board available for coordinators and a community forum where people can post websites that are specifically for their Food Day celebrations. So we encourage you to use our website as a place to connect with others and to get information about what other organizers are doing. All right, do we have any more questions for Dr. Jacobson? Let's see, Claudette Joseph, you had raised your hand and you're unmuted if you'd like to ask your question. Claudette Joseph, are you there? Okay, we're having some trouble hearing you if you're there. You can type in your comment or question, and I'll try to read it aloud. And in the meanwhile, let's see if we have anyone else before we close it out.
Well, people are also welcome to send emails or questions later.
Okay, yeah, why don't we do that? If anyone has a question specifically for Dr. Jacobson, we can pass it along by email. You can send it to foodday@cspinet.org or give us a call, and he's happy to answer those and respond. Okay, so at this point, I think we'll move on to Katie Plohaki, and I'll go ahead and make you the presenter so you can show us your slides about Tulsa Food Day. And thanks again, Dr. Jacobson, for your presentation. I appreciate that.
This is Katie. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. And my slide, I hope, is up?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm Katie Plohaki with the Tulsa Food Security Council. I am going to just talk a little bit about Tulsa, Oklahoma, and what we're doing here. Let me get my slide to move. Here we go. This is just a few photos of some things that we did last year. We're hoping to build on that this year. My slides are not moving very quickly here. Let me see if I can. Oh, here we go. One of the first things that we're going to be doing are Food Day proclamations. Last year, our Mayor Dewey Bartlett and First Lady Victoria Bartlett did declare October 24th as Food Day in the city of Tulsa. They will be doing so again this year. Our state of Oklahoma, Governor Fallon, will also be issuing a proclamation, and it's our goal to get all of the cities in and around the Tulsa Metroplex to also do the same thing. We will be hosting the Taste of North Tulsa, Better Choices, Longer Life, again on October 11th. This will be our fourth annual program for this. It's located at a high school in a low-income populated area. We invite the community free of charge to come in. We have about 450 to 500 folks that come in. We ask our local restaurants to prepare healthy meals with recipes from the American Heart Association for the Soul Foods Cookbook. We also have health organizations come in and set up booths and do free medical screenings. One of the special things about this program is the fact that it's very important for us to use real linens, real plates, real glasses, real silverware, because many of these families do not have typical utensils and serviceware in their homes to eat on. So it's important for us to gather everybody around the table and eat together with real plates and silverware. This year, a new activity that we've brought to Tulsa is Food Glorious Food Festival, and it's going to be held at the new Tulsa Health Department, North Regional Wellness Center. In fact, they're just moving in this week, so it'll be just opening in September, their grand opening. We're going to be doing a variety of things there. Cooking Matters, which is cooking demonstrations, tastings, and recipes. We also want to get the arts involved, so Fiber Arts has agreed to come in and do vegetable and fruit stamping, and we're looking for somebody to donate some T-shirts to do that for the kids. We're going to incorporate outdoor fitness activities, foot races, yoga, bicycling. We're also going to incorporate some music and with a program we call Veggie Rap, and we're going to be teaching this kids songs and raps about food, fresh food. We're also going to bring in What is My Job Fair, getting to know who gets the food to your plate with demonstration and interactive booths highlighting different jobs in the food supply chain. And then we'll be asking our farmers market, specifically the Pearl Farmers Market, which does accept SNAP, to come in and offer fruits and vegetables for sale on that day. Just a little more about our What is My Job Fair. We created this little poem which comes from the very beginning of planting your seed all the way to composting it and then planting it again. And we're kind of using this poem to bring in different jobs, folks, farmers, our transporters, our grocery store operators, our chefs, our recycling folks, our nutritionists, our food banks, and really highlight for the kids, one, where does your food come from and what do they do? But we'd also like to get them interested in maybe pursuing some of these job careers so we can help create a new workforce, strengthen our food workforce development throughout the food supply chain for future generations. Langston University is also planning on doing an event. We will also pepper the media. We did some on-station cooking classes last year. We're going to be asking to do that again this year. We also have some apartment complexes, the Young, Gifted, and Talented. They go into apartment complexes, plant gardens, provide, again, some free food and just getting the community together within these actual apartment complexes. Some of the other events and partnerships, Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma, Langston University, Oklahoma State University.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Web Events Made Easy. Welcome to GoToWebinar, Web Events Made Easy.
And that's what we're doing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
It's Linda
I guess
from
I'm
Cleveland.
done with my presentation.
Is anybody else on the line other than us?
Yeah,
That's
thank
really
you so much, Katie. Let's go ahead with the second presenter. And I've heard also there someone from Cleveland joined us, and they are also having an amazing activity with a donation of a hoop house. So if there is a chance, and we have a couple of minutes, maybe we'll hear from Cleveland also. So Diane, do you want just to go ahead and make the presentation?
Yes, sorry about that. This is Catherine. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back. And Diane, you should have the screen. We can see your slides now. Diane, it looks like you need to enter your audio pin here if you're joined in by telephone. Can you say something if you're there?
Okay, I'm sorry. I just accidentally hit the wrong button. Can you hear me
that's
now?
right. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, you have my the Western Kentucky University's Ag Expo on the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Diane Sproul with Barren River District Health Department, and we are planning an event on Western Farm, basically. It's an all-day event. Okay, screen's not advancing. There we go. Last year we did just a very, very small event. We just showed a movie and had a discussion. This year I have met some new wonderful partners. Christian Ryan Downing with Western Kentucky University Office of Sustainability, and then Michelle Howell with Community Farmers Market. And that has led to a lot of other partners that we've been able to pull into our event this year. It is an all-day event, and we're going to kind of break it into two different segments, the 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to have a conference, and then there's some separate workshops, and also there's a food day expo that will be going on during the whole event. And then from 5 to 8 p.m., we're having a free Meet Your Farmers night and also a separate Farm Elegant dinner. As far as the conference goes, there's a $10 fee, which includes the local food lunch. And we're having, we know that the president of Western Kentucky University, Dr. Gary Ransdale, is going to be there to speak at the opening, and we're working to get somebody from the state governor's office of ag policy also. And then Dennis Cheney is my director of the health department to kind of moderate. We're going to have two concurrent sessions, but there are 3 tracks, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then the local food lunch, and then 2 more concurrent sessions with 3 tracks. The 3 tracks are business for farmers, community outreach, that's the piece that addresses the hunger issues, and then nutrition. And there are some additional workshops. There's a microprocessing and home processing workshop that the extension agent is doing at the extension office, which is just down the road, and there's an additional fee for that because there are materials involved. And then also what WKU's continuing education department is doing a session on pallet gardens and then one on rain barrels. And there again, they have extra fees because of the materials that are involved. Then also, while this is going on, we have a free Food Day Expo that's open to anybody free of charge from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., which will have exhibits and vendors. And that's still being, the list isn't complete yet, but I know we'll have different activities about nutrition and real food, as well as, information for the farmers community, and just all different kinds of interests. Then in the evening, the Meet Your Farmers is also a free event. We're having a night farmers market and then a family hayride with tours of the WKU farm. They do a lot of interesting things at the farm. We'll also have different nutrition and activity-related activities for the kids. And then the Farm Elegant Dinner is going to be using several different local chefs using local food. It's going to be an upscale meal in one of the covered barns with, china and silverware. And there's going to be a charge $35 per plate for that. And some of the money raised will go to supporting a local organization for refugees and food. So that, in a nutshell, is what we're doing. That's the last of my slides.
Great, thank you so much. And that's an excellent example of how a health department can be involved in community activities, and I hope that gave some of the listeners some ideas. So I'll give it over to Linda from Cleveland. If you're still there, do you want to talk a little bit about your event?
Yeah, I don't have any slides to share, and I'm actually on the landline kind of off from my house, so I hope it's okay if I just talk through it.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Well, Cleveland's coming a little late to the table, if you will, with Food Day. This is our first year, and so we're looking at ways to kind of jumpstart the event. Cleveland has a sustainability summit dubbed Sustainable Cleveland 2019. It's a 10-year initiative. The number dovetails the burning of our river and how clean it is now, so that's kind of the hallmark of the event. About 600 people come to the summit, and this year has been dubbed the Year of Local Food, so it's a perfect place to introduce Food Day to a fairly wide audience of educators, nonprofit leaders, and business executives in town. So we will have a short video where we're going to talk about a contest that we're launching and trying to connect with the K-8 schools at this point. We do have a hoop house that's been donated to us by a company in town, and what we plan to do with that is to sponsor a contest with the K-8 schools where they will develop, basically a hoop house plan. The judging criteria, which I'm developing as I speak, is really looking at the processes schools use to develop their hoop house in terms of the investigation, preparation, and planning, reflection, and action planning, how the school garden will become an interdisciplinary educational resource. They're really trying to connect it to 21st century learning and teaching. The yield, and given a multitude of choices, the decisions the students made in developing their plot plan, the final assortment of plants, the diversity, resiliency, aesthetics, and their potential lead, and kind of a statement regarding how their plan relates to their school's culture, taste, traditions, and overall health needs. And then lastly, the third criteria is going to be creativity and beauty. Beyond a vehicle for food production, the way the garden connects children to the environment and other living things where there's appreciation for nature. So we plan to launch the Hoop House event, which I have called at this point, it's not approved yet, Gardens That Teach. So it's going to be called the Gardens That Teach Food Day Challenge. It'll be launched on October 24th. We figured that if we sent it out now and tried to culminate the event near Food Day, that it would just be too fast for our schools since we came in a little late. So the contest will probably end sometime in February. We'll announce the winner, the school that won the Hoop House. And what we figure is that the schools that do not win a Hoop House will actually all have a plan in place to either do fundraising or to consider looking at Hoop House so they can do year-round gardening for their school as well. So I think even win or lose, you kind of come out a winner, we're hoping. And the mayor is proclaiming October 24th as Food Day. in Cleveland. And he'll do that at the Sustainability Summit, and there will be a proclamation. And that's about it.
Fantastic, thank you, Linda, and some exciting events going on there. So we appreciate the update. And now Haley Galuli, who's the other project coordinator for the campaign, is going to give some brief state updates from around the country.
Hi everyone, and thanks. So Catherine and I just wanted to update you on some of the work that we know going on around the country based on outreach trips that we've done, state webinars we've held, and lots of one-on-one phone calls and emails that we've been having with organizers around the country. So the two of us just want to speak for a few minutes and then leave time for questions from the audience. But a couple of highlights I wanted to mention for people. First of all, New Haven, Connecticut is doing quite a bit around Food Day, and a lot of this organizing is spearheaded by Tegan Engel at the New Haven Food Policy Council. So they have decided to designate October Food Month so that they're able to do more activities and not just limit them to the day or week of October 24th. So they're going to hold a special summit on October 24th that will include a working meeting with city and community leaders to get buy-in and focus on implementation of a new food action plan for the area. And New Haven has never had a food plan before, so this is a really exciting policy development that they're working on. They're also securing a mayoral proclamation and working with Yale's Sustainable Food Project on a Big Food, Big Change event at the Peabody Museum in New Haven. And there will also be a symposium at that museum as part of its Big Food exhibit on October 24th. So I think that New Haven is a really great example of really just a diversity of community-wide activities. And again, that policy focus by working on this food action plan is a great way to think about incorporating some activism and policy change into your Food Day work. Another exciting event that is really starting to take shape is in Denver. Denver Botanic Gardens held an event last year, and they're holding a similar event this year, but they're really doing it on a bigger, expanded scale. So the Botanic Gardens is working with Denver Urban Gardens and various community partners on an all-day festival that includes a lot of really great activities, and admissions to the gardens will be free on Food Day, and there will be hands-on cooking demos and lessons for adults and kids, speakers, nutrition testing, and film screenings. So it's really a great way, and they wanted to do an event that was really open to the community and encourage folks to bring their children to, since we know that education for children as well as adults is an important component of Food Day. And finally, one more exciting update that happened recently is Massachusetts has some really fantastic organization going on all across the country. And something we were really excited to hear about recently is that the state Department of Elementary and School and Secondary Education recently held a summer institute, and they were aiming to get around 100 school nutrition services directors to participate in Food Day, and they ended up more than doubling that goal. So at least 200 school nutrition directors representing at least 45 districts across the state of Massachusetts have signed on to a Food Day challenge asking schools to eat real on October 24th. And so the state education department provided some ideas for the nutrition services directors on what they can do. And we're going to wait and see what sort of programming they decide to do in schools. And this can include locally sourcing more food served in cafeterias on Food Day, bringing nutritionists in to talk with the kids, doing hands-on food demos with students, and working on implementing the new school meal standards. So we're really excited about that, and if folks on this call are looking at ways to get involvement from kind of the state down out to the local level, that's one really great example, and I would be happy to share more with anyone on the call who's interested about the logistics of how the education department made that happen. So I will turn it back over to Catherine now.
Thanks. So yeah, we're getting really close to Food Day. We've got less than 2 months to go. And I wanted to mention that we're really excited about the proclamations that have been rolling in. Katie mentioned a couple that she's trying to get. We've had over 20 states send in proclamations from cities or statewide proclamations. Georgia and Nevada are among those who have proclaimed Food Day for the entire state. And we've had interest from the governors of North Carolina, Mississippi, Arizona, as well as from the Massachusetts governor. So we have about 15 cities who we have proclamations in hand for, and dozens more in the works that we know about. So please do encourage your mayor's office to get involved in Food Day and see if they can make a proclamation and suggest other ways for you to get involved in activities around the city and for them to be part of those activities. I've been making a special effort to reach out to communities of faith recently, and we'd love to have your input about faith networks to reach out to for Food Day. We're having a call for faith communities on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, and you can find that link to register on the updates page of foodday.org. I wanted to mention that in addition to the DC Marquee event, the conference that will be held at the Capitol Visitor Center, which Dr. Jacobson mentioned, we will also be having dozens of events around the city involving restaurants, food trucks, schools, the local WIC agency, and many chefs who've stepped up to be involved in activities here. So we're looking forward to a really great food day in the Capitol. We will also, I also wanted to share a couple of events from around the country. The Arkansas Coalition of Obesity Prevention is looking at ways to tie in Food Day to their statewide Healthy Parks, Healthy People weekend. Kansas City Food Day is really shaping up well. They have an Apple Share program where they'll be handing out apples on Food Day, and that's partly supported by the Kansas City Food Policy Coalition as well as Slow Food Kansas City. And they'll have a Crop Mob event, which is where people go out to the farm and volunteer on one day on October 24th. The Kansas Department of Education is also considering a statewide Food Day menu for Food Day with special items and local items and fresh produce in schools. I was recently at a Richmond, Virginia planning meeting where there were over 50 people from various organizations, and they were coming together to talk about what they could do for Food Day. They're looking at a citywide marquee event as well as events around the city and in schools and in food trucks and farmers markets. So we're excited about to see what shapes up there. And in Baltimore, we mentioned the mayor's office is involved. They're also instrumental in the food policy task force on the national level, so we're excited to see their events as well. So with that, I think I will open it up to questions and comments from the audience. If anyone would like to share what they've been working on or share maybe some obstacles they've encountered or request resources. And in the meanwhile, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, Haley can talk a little bit about materials and how to register your event to get materials from us.
Sure. So it looks like we have a few questions already, so I'll go ahead and get those ready. And if you have anything you just want to type, Catherine, you can do that now. But most of you have probably already received some emails from us letting you know about the event registration process and also how you can request Food Day promotional materials. So just as a reminder for folks, event registration is now open on the website, and we are encouraging people to register their events as soon as possible, in part because once you register your event, you'll be able to request promotional materials such as posters, recipe cards, Food Day brochures, and stickers for your events, but we can only do that for folks who provide their event information, so we can get that request form out to you. And in the past week or so, we've seen the number of events registered on the site double. We're now at almost 350 registered events, which is fantastic. So I'd like to encourage everyone on the call, whether your event is now ready to go or whether you're just getting kind of the basic information solidified, go ahead and at foodday.org, go to the register or host an event page, and you can really quickly enter in the basic event information and at any time go back and add details. So it would be great if folks on the call could go ahead and get that information in so that we can reach 500 before we know it.
Absolutely, and we've had a couple of questions come in. So Corin Taylor, who's with the city of Tallahassee in Florida, asks, does it have to be on October 24th to count as a Food Day event? And that is true. It does not have to be on the 24th. they're partnering with the university for an event scheduled on November 3rd, and you'd like to register it, so that's fine. You can go ahead and register it on our website. You can get to the register an event page in two ways. One is by going to Get Involved and then host an event, or you can just go right to the sidebar that's on the homepage of foodday.org, and you'll see host an event, find an event, or share Food Day. Those are the three options on the sidebar. So you can just click on host an event and register that. We'd love for you to do that. Many cities and communities are choosing to do a week-long of activities or even a month of activities around food issues. So it's not limited just to October 24th. Tisha Tyler wrote in and asked, are most of the efforts nationwide one-time events, or are communities planning to have events that can be carried on throughout the year? And maybe some of our panelists would be interested in speaking to that. Are there ways that having events on Food Day can help to spur collaborations throughout the year? And have you found that to be a useful tactic for engaging partners to have events for the rest of the year? Katie Plawacki, if you're still there, maybe you have thoughts on that.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Absolutely, it helps provide collaboration. I think the more we can get together with a lot of different groups, the more we are working together towards that same goal. It's my vision to stop working in silos when we're all working towards the same benefit, and to collaborate and utilize resources from each other. You know, with the health department, Food Glorious Food event, you know, we're bringing in so many partners. The food bank, we're bringing in the arts and humanities. We're bringing in different folks that work in different businesses and jobs. So we don't want to just bring in the folks that are working in health and wellness day in and day out. We want to bring other people. And the placement, the place why we decided on this new food bank location is not just because it was new, but it's really in the heart of an area that lives 14 years less than the rest of our city. And so we want to get the people there. We want to get the kids there. You know, this is who it's for, is the people on the ground, not the people that are creating these events. So if we can get the people there and eat together and play together and educate together, then I think that just brings everybody together, and that's really the only way we're going to make change.
Thank you. Yeah, and we had a follow-up question from someone. Elsa Jimenez from the Care and Share Food Bank of Southern Colorado asked, how did you find your partners for Food Day events? So any advice on locating partners, identifying target audiences, and partners for those events? Yeah, see if anyone on the call has suggestions about those, or if
this
Katie.
Is Katie again.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just start making phone calls. Last year I helped coordinate, and it was really new to me, and I didn't have the network available, so I just started making phone calls and explaining to people what we were wanting to do and asking people to help, and we got a great response. And so this year, you know, we've built up that networking, again, getting people involved and collaborating. It was so much easier this year. I mean, I made a phone call to the Tulsa Health Department and said, you know, extreme event planning, I really want to get this event planted by Monday, and this is Friday. Can we use your facility? And he's like, absolutely, and here's a few people to help you plan the event. We're totally on board. And so I think creating those networks and being able to just pick up the phone and ask for something specific. And, you know, I talked to Fiber Arts. I knew somebody there. Hey, would you be willing to bring in, you know, some fruits and vegetables and show people how to do stamping and art? And they were like, fabulous. I think you need to start just making phone calls. I mean, we all love food. We all love being healthy. I think it's not a hard sell, so you just need to ask. And then you create those networking partners, and next year it just makes it even easier.
And this is Haley. So Tisha Tyler from Tallahassee said that one strategy she had for increasing partnerships in her Food Day organizing is to speak at various community meetings. And I wanted to just echo that and say that's a great idea. I know that Leslie Craig, who is our Chicago Food Day coordinator, has been making a point of going out to various community meetings, including one for Good Greens, which is a regional organization in the Midwest, and either physically going to meetings and giving a brief update on what's happening with planning and making a pitch for getting new partners, or also just speaking on calls. So I'd encourage people to think about whether find out when your local food policy council meets or PTA meetings and other relevant community events that you can either bring Food Day materials to or speak at.
Yep, and Tisha mentions that she's from San Diego, California, so maybe you'd like to get hooked in with the statewide coordinator there, Susan Koss. Her email is on the website. And everyone can find the coordinators that are registered in their area by going to Get Involved and then Find Coordinators on foodday.org. So we encourage you to reach out to people who are already planning activities. Also wanted to mention that there are 3 great ways to get involved in Food Day. One is promoting through your networks, whether that's listservs, on social media, or otherwise, as we mentioned, going to meetings, or organizing a new event for Food Day, or you can co-promote and co-brand events that are already existing that your organization's working on to help to highlight the work you're doing in the community. So a follow-up to that, Naomi Ross asks, is 2 months a realistic time frame to pull together what's already happening in a community? And you might want to start thinking about events that organizations in your area are putting on, such as harvest festivals, community nutrition awareness events, farmers markets, groups that might already be having events in the fall, and see how you can tie in the messaging of Food Day and help to bring awareness around Food Day issues to those events. So we'd be happy to talk more with you about co-promotion and also about reaching out to new partners. That's something that we can share models from other areas and give some suggestions about. So please do feel free to contact Food Day at cscinet.org, or you can look up the coordinators in your area to get more advice.
And I think also responding to Naomi's point, she mentions that in Miami, the city kind of traditionally operates in silos, which is something that we have noticed in other parts of the country as well. And I think one thing to keep in mind is, especially if this is your first year being involved with Food Day, you can think of this year as a starting point and, think about what you think you can get done in this year, but almost more importantly, how can you carry that into 2013 and beyond? Because I think we do want to see Food Day as not just a single day of action that's sort of cut off from other ongoing community events, but rather something that, can build and really get more, just get more integrated into your community. So I think, you can make your first steps this year and then think about how 2013 can show the growth over that time.
Donna Simons wrote in and says that her event will continue growing and evolving throughout the year. Theirs is called Bon Freakin' Appetit, and that's on the map. And they have a event with festivals, local food showcases, and community meals, and it's going to travel to different states. So they're getting a lot of press, and they're excited about that. And yeah, we're excited to see how your events shape up, but also we'd love to help with getting media. There'll be a call for media plans and strategy on October 2nd. So we'd love to see you on that call next month. As I mentioned, we'll also have a call for faith communities this Thursday at 1 p.m. and a call for campus organizers on the 12th of September. So yeah, I hope you'll join us for some of our upcoming calls. Those are all on the updates page of foodday.org.
And Catherine mentioned this earlier, and we can also send a link to this when we send the follow-up notes for this call, but we just last week launched a discussion board page on the website, and we will send around a link to that, and that can be a really great way for people like Naomi and Tisha and others to both share questions they're having. For example, how can I work to break down communication silos in my city, and also share things that have worked for you. So we will share around the link. It's sort of set up like a suggestions page where you can ask a question or make a comment, and then other Food Day organizers and hosts can respond. So we think that that'll be a great way for you all to share information and best practices, not just on these calls, but really, at any point when you're having questions.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions at this point, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We'll be sending out a link to all those who registered for the call with a recording and the slides from this presentation. We'll also be posting it on the updates page of foodday.org so you can see the archived recording and slides. So hopefully all of you got a chance to learn something, to hear about what's happening around the country for Food Day, and we hope you got inspired to continue planning or to plan new Food Day events for October 24th or the week of or the month of. And we're excited that you're on board and helping us to organize this year's Food Day. So thanks, and please be in touch with us, foodday@cspinet.org, if you have any questions or need some support. Thanks, everyone.